Thanks for tuning in to Chats with Your Self-Worth BFF. This is your host, Michaela Falar, where we are here to skyrocket your self-worth, heal your shit, and take your power back. Welcome to the chat. Hey guys, welcome back to Chats with Your Self-Worth BFF, the podcast. It's your host, Michaela Falar. Today we are going to be getting into perfectionism. And the reason that I've decided to do a podcast episode on this is because it's something that I used to struggle with a lot through the majority of my life. And I felt a tug on my heart to talk about it, share a little bit about my experience with struggling with perfectionism, and hopefully it can help you guys. Also, just want to say for those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you guys had an incredible Thanksgiving with friends, family, and it's just a great holiday. And if you don't celebrate it, then I hope you had an incredible week. So let's get into today's topic. So, perfectionism is self-destructive and it's addictive, and it's a belief system that fuels this primary thought of if I look perfect and do everything perfectly, I can avoid or minimize the painful feelings of shame, judgment, and blame. And perfectionism is not a way to avoid shame. Perfectionism is actually a form of shame. Where we struggle with perfectionism, we struggle with shame. And it's also not even a attainable goal. Like perfectionism does not exist. There is nothing in this world that is absolutely perfect. It's all your perception, your own perception of what perfect is for you. And everyone's form of perfectionism is perception of perfectionism is different. Like there is no one size fits all for everyone. So that's also something to keep in mind, because when you perceive something as perfect and Tom doesn't perceive it as perfect, then you might get in your head and, care what Tom thinks and or what Susie thinks or what Sam thinks or whatever anyone else thinks, when really the only person who matters and the only thing that matters is if you feel that it's perfect for you. So the trick here is to get out of your head and stop striving for this unattainable goal of being perfect, because you cannot be everyone's cup of tea, right? And that's just something that you have to accept. And this is something that I personally struggled with for, like I said, the majority of my life, and wanting to be liked by everybody and wanting to be everyone's friend and not being okay if somebody didn't like me or if I felt like somebody didn't like me, because as you guys all know, like I am an empath and I feel people's energy very strongly. And so I can feel when somebody isn't like vibing with me, or maybe if I was like dating somebody, like I could feel them pulling away very easily. And it used to like freak me out. And I used to be like this, I became this like needy person. It put me in this really needy energy, which the opposite of magnetism is neediness. So if we are trying to get somebody to like us, then and we're being super needy, it's only going to make them push away even further. So keeping that in mind too. But you do not need to be perfect. And we need to like release this idea of perfectionism, because nobody's perfect. And whatever you think is perfect is exactly what perfect is. There's no way that you can have everyone's perception be the same as yours. Like there's no controlling other people's perception. And that's just something that we have to like learn to release and let go of. This idea of being perfect for anyone other than ourselves is what really diminishes our self-worth. And if we are, wanting to know our worth and wanting to set boundaries and wanting to accept ourselves for however we are, wherever we are in this current moment, then we have to release that idea of everything being perfect. So with that being said, everything in like the idea of perfectionism for me, it started when I was very young, and I would constantly, my hair had to be perfect. I was constantly seeking praise and validation outside of myself. And in order to get that praise outside and get that validation from other people, I had to perform to a certain, extent. I had to perform perfectly. And if I didn't perform perfectly, if I didn't get that compliment or that praise or that validation, then my self-worth just started to diminish. And that is something that I struggled with for like I said, the majority of my life. And the way that I overcame that has been one of the hardest things that I have healed during, like, so far throughout my healing journey, is 100% letting go of the idea of being perfect, letting go of the idea of being liked by everyone, and just accepting myself for who I am and everything that I am, and accepting my imperfections. But it wasn't easy. You see, perfectionism actually sets us up to feel shame and judgment and blame, which then leads to more shame and self blame. And we start saying to ourselves in our head, like, it's my fault that this didn't work out. Like, I didn't do XYZ perfectly. So that's why this is happening to me. And then we get into this whole victim mentality where we're just like blaming, you know, everything outside of ourselves for our life not being what we had thought or wanted it to be, and it's not going exactly the way that we had planned for it to go. And we just put all this like shame on ourselves and this blame on ourselves, when really we're just doing the best we can with the information that we have. Like, there is no such thing as perfectionism. You need to release the need to be perfect, the desire to be perfect. Like, whatever that looks like for you, it is, period. And if we are seeking constantly outside of ourselves for this validation and for this praise, then we're giving our power away. As I've spoken about before, like, looking outside of yourself for anything is literally you giving your power away. And we want to just hold that knowing in that we are worthy, that we are enough, that we are doing enough, that we are doing the best that we can with the resources that we have. And just be there in that feeling and accept things for the way that they are, even if they aren't going exactly the way that you planned, or if they're not, quote, perfect. Just accept it. Stop being so freaking hard on yourself. Like, I am a Virgo. I love things to be in place. I love things to be, quote unquote, perfect. And so it was really hard for me to like let that go and to like be okay with not being liked by everybody, and to be okay with putting myself out there and sharing my imperfections with the world, and not caring what they think or how they feel about the way that I'm living my life. And, like, what I do is not um, conventional. And so for me to like do what I'm doing and to not give up and to throw perfectionism out the window and to just keep showing up the best that I can with what I have, it has been a very big transformation for me. Your worth is not dependent upon your performance and your achievements. It's just not. Your worth, like, you are literally worthy simply because you are. I've said this once and I will say it again. You are worthy simply because you are. Think about a baby. When a baby is born and it's just arrived and it's here on earth now, and everyone's loving it and feeding it and changing it and showing it love and buying it gifts and showering it with all the love and affection in the world. And what did that baby do? Nothing. It didn't do anything. It just arrived here on earth. It's just worthy because it is. And what happens between being born and then throughout your adult life, you grow up and you go through trauma, and you society, puts this pressure on you to show up a certain way and to have everything figured out. And the reality is like your worth becomes, it starts to diminish, and you start to like freak out because you aren't this or you aren't that, or your life isn't this and your life isn't that. And we get so stressed out and put so much emphasis on these things that are outside of ourselves, and we lose sight of the fact that we are simply worthy because we are here on earth. You have a better chance of winning the lottery than you do of becoming a human, getting into human form and being on this earth. So that in itself is a win. And we have to keep that in the forefront of our minds when we are going through shit that might not be like what we expected it to be. You just have to accept it and know that like your worth isn't dependent on whether or not your life is perfect or you're perfect or all these people like you or don't like you. Like all that matters at the end of the day, the only person that matters is yourself. And holding that, knowing that you are worthy, and that in knowing your worth and seeing you for all you are and accepting you for all that you are. I struggled, like I said, with perfectionism the majority of my life. Like literally, you guys, everything had to be perfect. My hair had to be perfect. I had to like, I went through this phase where I would slick back my hair like in a ponytail, and I would put so much mousse and hairspray so that not a single hair was outside of my ponytail, or I didn't have a single flyaway. And it was just like a helmet. It was like a helmet on my head my hair was like a helmet. It was so hard and rough. And it was just because I wanted it to look perfectly. Like I had to release that expectation. And I remember like when I started to not care as much if my hair was messy or if my ponytail wasn't perfect. And it's freeing. It's so freeing. And I know this is like such a silly like analogy, but it's so true. It's the same thing. Like stop trying to use all of these products, right? These things outside of yourself to make yourself feel perfect or be accepted or be liked. Like just be you and accept you for who you are, because you are enough, period. And you are worthy, period, simply because you are. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you accept yourself for who you are, for everything that you are, the easier your life will become, the more freeing you will feel, the more freed you will be, because you will no longer attach your worth to these things that are outside of yourselves. You are no longer giving your power away to these people, places, circumstances, and things. Like I felt like my room had to be clean, like everything had to be in place at all times. My homework had to be done. If I didn't get a good grade, or if I didn't get a compliment on the way that I looked or the way that my hair looked or my outfit that I was wearing, like I wouldn't feel good enough. I wouldn't feel like I was doing enough. Like my hair was enough. My outfit was enough. It wasn't cute enough. Like I just didn't feel like enough. And I just cared so much about what other people thought. And I'm not saying that I don't care what, there are so many people that are like, who cares what everyone else thinks? Like, yes, who cares? And also, there's still that part of you in your subconscious mind that you haven't healed. That's like, well, you remember this example, and you were like, do you remember the time that you went out and you got all dolled up and nobody complimented you on what you were wearing? You're not like your outfit wasn't cute enough. Or do you remember the time that you studied for this test and you went and you didn't get a good grade? You got like a C or a D or an F, or you failed completely, like all these little micro moments that build up in your subconscious mind that like, yeah, your conscious mind is probably like, I am enough. Like, I don't care what this person says. But your subconscious is, they don't speak the same language. So you have to reprogram the subconscious thoughts in your mind. And then, like, when they do come up, catch them and then battle them. Is that the ultimate truth? No. And then reprogram by stating a statement or remembering a memory where, like, you did feel enough. Like, you know what? I got out of bed today. I made the bed. I did my hair. I put mascara on. Like I am winning for the day. Okay. I made myself a healthy breakfast. I am winning. It's even these small examples that I'm giving where it proves to us that we are fucking enough. We are doing enough. There's just this societal pressure put on us that like nothing is ever enough. And the thing is that if you are constantly seeking for things outside of yourself to feel like you're doing enough, you're never going to get there. You're never going to get there. You're always going to be searching for the next fucking best thing because nothing is ever going to be enough. The moment that you let you see your worth and that you understand that what you are doing is enough, the sooner you will just, your life will become easier. The sooner you accept yourself for all your imperfections and for where you are in your life currently in this moment, even if it's not exactly where you want to be, if you just are accepting and okay, and you see your worth and you see that you are enough in this moment, instead of having this super high expectation of yourself. Like, yeah, high expectations of yourself are great. And also being appreciative and grateful for where you are currently. Think about like where you are now today compared to who you were a year ago, a week ago, a month ago, whatever the case may be. Like, think of how much you've grown just in that short amount of time. I'm sure you can find a few things that you have improved, that you have grown. Maybe you healed something that was deeply rooted inside of yourself that you really struggled with for years and years and years, and it finally clicked for you, and now you feel freed from this expectation or from this trauma that you had that you didn't think that you would heal, and now you've healed it. And that's something to be so proud of. Like, who I am now today compared to who I was even a year ago is admirable. And it helps me when even though I'm not exactly where I want to be right now, to be okay with where I'm at, to realize that I am doing everything that I can. That's enough. Period. There are a lot of us who attach our worth to outside praise and validation. And that might be because we didn't feel recognized unless we had everything perfect. We didn't get praise unless we did it perfectly. We didn't feel love if we had a bad week or a day or a year. But I'm here to remind you that nothing and no one is perfect. And that's the beauty of life. You have to accept the imperfect parts of you and see the beauty in them, and then love yourself regardless of the outcome or the praise. You have to love yourself, see your worth, and then keep going even if it's a little messy. I'm not perfect. I have my flaws. I've had my downfalls and my failures. And the most challenging part of my healing journey so far, like I've said, is to accept myself and love myself anyways, regardless of those things. You are perfect just the way you are. Keep going, keep growing, and hold that knowing that you are perfect exactly as you are and where you are now. And hold true to your boundaries and your expectations of yourself, but don't let other people's perception gauge how you feel about yourself. Like, we just have to stop doing that. So I'll give you guys some tips on how to cure perfectionism. We've got some written down here. So, number 1, practicing enjoying the experience itself. So wherever you are, just practicing enjoying it. You might be on a trip that you've planned for years and you really wanted to go on it, and it's finally here, and now you're on it and you're having the best time of your life. Amazing. You might be on your couch watching TV, watching a show, watching your favorite show with somebody you love. Like that, enjoy it. Enjoy the little things. Enjoy the experience itself. Even if you're going through something hard, find the silver lining. Number 2, realizing that the value comes from our expansion, joy, and self-discovery, seeing results as side effects of our own expansion. Number 3, learning to appreciate ourselves exactly as we are. Number 4, giving up hurtful self-talk and replacing it with self-love gently day by day, thought by thought, aka rewiring your neural pathways and battling those negative self-beliefs. Accepting our feelings as they come and not judging ourselves for how we feel. So if you do have feelings of that are self-deprecating and that are, proving to yourself that you're not perfect, like sit in your feelings, feel them, and don't let them like hold you down. Don't let them hold you down. You've got to get back up and keep going and keep growing. Becoming aware that our state of being feeds our actions and results, meaning the way that you think and the way that you show up for yourself, it really does play a big part in what our physical reality looks like. So if you are, maybe wanting to, maybe you're desiring something, maybe you're chasing after a goal or a dream, and you're not showing up as the person who already has that thing that you're desiring, then how is it supposed to mirror? How is the universe supposed to mirror that back to you? Because the world is a giant mirror. And so what you believe your reality is your truth. Things take a little bit longer to manifest in the physical reality because that's just how that's how the universe works. And so we have to hold that knowing, even when we feel like, we're doing all the work, we're doing all the things, we're doing everything that we can do to obtain this goal and it's still not working. And you're just like, oh, it's not working. It's not working. It is working. It just takes a little bit longer for it to manifest in your current physical reality. You just have to hold that knowing and make sure that your thought process and your actions align with what it is that you're desiring to have. Seeing the inner critic as a wounded child, and meeting it with grace and compassion, but holding strong boundaries around things that you desire for yourself. So oftentimes, like when we do struggle with perfectionism, it might be from our childhood, from not feeling seen unless we were, being pat on the back for doing something good or for having the good grades or for being really pretty or for winning the soccer game or the talent show or whatever it may be. We got all this praise around things when we did things that were big, right? And then we felt seen, we felt recognized, we felt loved, we felt valued, we felt appreciated. And then as we get older, we stop getting that as often. And so what happens is that we try and overcompensate by being perfect. And what we have to do is we have to see it for what it really is. So it's like, it's not that we need to be perfect, like this need to be perfect and have everything figured out. It stems from childhood often, where we felt that we needed to prove ourselves in order to get praised, in order to feel good, in order to feel valued, in order to feel loved. So sitting down with your ego, with that 7-year-old child that's in the back of your head and being like, I see you, I feel for you, I appreciate you for keeping me safe, and I choose not to feel like this anymore. I choose not to feel like I need to perform perfectly in order to feel worthy and valued and loved. Like I am those things simply because I am. I deserve those things simply because I do, not because of my achievements, not because of what I've done, anything outside of myself, right? It's simply because we are, period. So I hope this helped. I hope you like this episode. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube, and like, subscribe, follow my podcast, leave a rating and review. I appreciate you so much for being here, for listening. I hope that you have an incredible week, and we will chat soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this resonated with you, please make sure you leave a rating and review. Like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. Make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Kayla Cakes, at KAELA_CAKES. Visit my website at michaelaryanfalar.com to find out more about my coaching services. All of these links are in the show notes below. Make sure you tune in for next week's episode. New episodes are out every Tuesday and Friday. Chat soon.